Hi everyone! Today we are talking about different parenting styles, and the first one we'll be discussing is authoritarian discipline. This is a pretty straightforward approach, and it's all about rules, very strict rules. This is most common in foreign and or ethnic households and defines where the parents set the rules and the child are expected to follow them with no questions asked. There's usually a lot of emphasis on obedience. Parents often use strong commands and expect immediate compliance. If the child doesn't follow directions, the consequences are usually pretty harsh. Some examples of this would include if a child's room is a mess, a parent might yell, "Go clean your room now. No TV tonight." If the parent isn't interested in the discussion, they just want immediate action. They may also use threats, shaming, and other forms of punishment, such as grounding, even physical corporal punishment, or just very mental mind games. The characteristics of this is focus on control and punishment. There isn't much room for children's input or even explanations in the behavior, more or less controlling the behavior. It is kind of a because I said so and children are to be seen and not heard type of style. The parents want total and complete control in this situation. Potential impacts in this is that a child can become withdrawn or even rebellious. They can realize that maybe my parents aren't seeing me, so I need to be shown that I can be seen. They might struggle with self-esteem because they're constantly being criticized by their parents. Authoritative discipline can stunt their development in the long term. Authoritative discipline at the end of the day is all about rules, obedience, and consequence. It's a very controlling approach, which sometimes can cost the child's development and can sometimes cost relationships between parents and children. That's a quick look at authoritative discipline for us, and let's move on to the next style. Hi everyone! Next up, we'll be talking about permissive discipline. This is on the opposite side of the spectrum from what we talked about in our past section, authoritarian, and it's a very, very different approach. Permissive parents are super lenient. They tend to avoid setting firm limits and often let their kids do pretty much whatever they want. They want to be their child's friend and often avoid confrontation. Sometimes this can be a little messy, however, sometimes this can be perfect, depending on how a child is developing. A permissive parent might say, "Oh, it's okay, you don't want to eat your vegetables," or, "It's whatever, you can just stay up as late as you want. We can watch a movie or something." There's not a lot of structure, and there aren't consequences for bad behavior. This can cause children to slip through the cracks or get comfortable kind of just doing whatever they want, whenever they want. Examples of this could be if a child throws a temper tantrum, a parent might quickly give in to just stop the outburst. The parent might try to reason with them instead of just controlling the outburst, instead of just making the child stop, instead of commanding the situation. They're going to try to reason, they're going to try to soothe. Potential impacts can be that the child could become entitled or disrespectful in the near future, as rules can be waived to them and they feel as if the world's kind of a bubble of yeses instead of nos, and we will work something out instead of this cannot happen. They may not learn self-control and they may have trouble with authority when they get older. Children with permissive parents can often lack a sense of boundaries and be overbearing and underperforming. Permissive discipline is all about freedom at the end of the day, but the freedom can come with a cost. Without clear limits, children can struggle to learn self-discipline and responsibility. Permissive parenting is a very relaxed style. Make sure you do your research and see if this is the right path for you. At the end of the day, it's all about how the child is before permissive parenting is brought in. This should not be something that is just sprung on a child because it's not really going to work. All right, it's time to get into the third parenting style, authoritative discipline. This is the style that is most commonly wavered to parents as a healthy approach, and most parents take this one on. Authoritative parents set clear rules and expectations, but they also explain why, how, when, and what. Mostly explaining why those rules are in place. They're firm but fair. They want their child to understand, and they're willing to discuss things. Authoritative parents are very supportive. They offer guidance and praise. They encourage their children to be independent, but they're always there to provide support. They listen to their kids' opinions. Examples of this could include, instead of saying, "Just doing your homework," the parent might say, "Let's work on this math problem together. And if you get it right, you can have extra playtime on your Xbox later." Or they might say, "I know that it's hard growing up. I was there once too. Let's talk about it, and let's go through the photo book, and I'll show you how crazy I looked when I was younger too. I had acne too. Potential impacts of this can be that children tend to do very well with this style. They often have high self-esteem, are independent, responsible, and they do well in work environments. They do well having to submit, having to listen, having to obey to their boss, their teachers, their principals. This kind of parenting helps children become good problem solving and critical thinkers. Authoritative discipline is about setting clear expectations, explaining the reasons behind the rules, and providing support. It's a balance that really encourages children to grow and thrive in correct, positive, and appropriate ways. This is an ideal style, and remember that every child and family is different. That is why there are other parenting styles. This is not the end-all be-all. It might be pushed and it might sound amazing, but some children just aren't going to thrive in this. Some children are going to need more, some children are going to need less. Your child is push and pull. My last spiel in the third section of the video gets us into our fourth section, discipline across different ages and growing with your child. Today we're going to be talking about what works for a child that's obviously not going to work for a teenager and how to change that as your child goes. For babies and toddlers, discipline is mainly about safety. They don't understand what's wrong and what's right, so it's about preventing them from getting hurt, and it's about preventing them from hurting others, breaking things around the house, just all around negative things. You're going to redirect them. You're going to remove them from danger. Positive reinforcement is key, and not being too strict with children and toddlers and babies is important because they're going to internalize that, and that's going to hurt them in the long run. Now, it's going to be for preschoolers. For preschoolers, you're going to start introducing simple rules and consequences as competencies are growing and mental processes are growing as well. Make these clear and consistent. Explain why the rules matter, as this is a good start. This is a good time to start teaching them concepts as sharing, concepts of relationships such as friends, mom, dad, concept like power dynamics, things of this sort. This is an age where you're going to need to start to learn these things. Next topic is going to be school-aged children. As children get older, you're going to involve them in the decision-making process. You're going to have to discuss consequences together, and you're going to have to teach them problem-solving skills. This is to encourage them to take responsibility for their actions, as more complex events will come in this time. Relationships such as boyfriends and girlfriends at school, fights can happen at school. Firsts can start happening. This is a very complex time. The ages from 7 to 11 are very, they might come home and say a curse word. They might ask you what sex is. This is a complex time. The next topic is going to be teenagers. With teenagers, communication becomes extremely important and can sometimes become strained. This is the age of rebellion. This is the age of acting out. This is the age of first time smoking, first time drinking, first time most likely having sex. This is the time of doing all of these things, and your relationship with your parents are going to become very strained, and there's going to have to become a balance of what are we going to let you do, what aren't we going to let you do, kind of how are we going to toy with this. Graduation, grades, there are so much with this age, getting to college. So as a parent, it is communicating. It is communicating with your child, and it is being there because you are their rock. You are their guidance. So they're going to want independence. So giving them freedom is important, but you need to set boundaries. You need to set those curfews, and you need to get them to those job interviews. You need to set those things up so that their future is set to good things. Their future is not going to be cooked, essentially. The key takeaway of this is that you need to adapt with your child, and the stages of life are pretty universal for every child. What works for a baby is not going to work for a teen. And this focus should always be on teaching, guiding, and supporting them as they grow. Your child could be disabled. Your child could be in a wheelchair. Your child could be a jock, a nerd. Your child could be gay. Your child could be straight. Your child could be anything. You still need to support your child as they grow. Your child is still going to go to kindergarten. Your child is still going to graduate. Your child is still going to do all these things. So you need to be there for them, and you need to discipline them. Because if you don't discipline them, your child is going to be a loose cannon. Adapting to each stage in your life is going to make a difference. Remember that every child and every family is different. You're different. Your aunt's different, your mom's different, everybody is different, so it is important to find what is right for you. I hope that the 3 parenting styles that I discussed further are going to help you with this, and I thank you for watching my video. Good luck on your journey.